Very nice to have you here. I am back at the IEC campus, as you probably can see, and I am always recording in different places in different countries. Not so easy to be sure that everything is set up perfectly and accordingly. Hello to all of you, and thank you for being here with me. If it's your first time here in the channel, for those of you that I do not know yet, please consider subscribing if you like this type of subject to study about the physical and the non-physical spiritual life, all integrated in a down-to-earth manner. And today it's an open Q&A session, so I'm going to be very glad to hear your questions, or read your questions, better saying, and to reply to the best of my knowledge. I still want to adjust a little bit my camera. Would you please be able to hold just for a while for me? I'll be here with you in 20 seconds. Let me get the first question. Would you please, Carol? Vinit, how are you doing, Vinit? Nice to have you here. Wonderful. So when we astral travel, how do we check that we are astral traveling or just imagining things in our mind? You couldn't ask me a harder question, could you? No, you couldn't, not even if you wanted. I guess we have to establish for ourselves a few tests, because one thing is that when the out-of-body experience is super lucid, like if we put in a scale of lucidity or awareness that we can have outside the body, like from 5, it's never 0, 0, if it's an out-of-body experience, but let's say from 5 to 100, if we have 70%, 80, wow, that is super lucid. You will never be in doubt about this experience. But when we are around 50, 55, sometimes even 60% lucidity, what happens is that we tend to react automatically to things. You know how when we are in our everyday life, we are just walking around, maybe going to work, just pick something that is very simple. And we start looking and observing who is there, we look at the buildings, but we are not really paying attention. Most of the time, we are not present in the very second, or each very second of our walk to work. We have other thoughts in the background of our minds. And because of this, what usually happens is that we create a habit. And outside the body, we do the same. We are there, we are just observing something, but we are not really checking. Hey, am I really here? Hey, is this a projection? Is this a dream? Is this the physical life? If we had the habit of doing this, we would be able to check that during the experience. And if that's a dream, you say, oh no, I'm dreaming. Great, because then it becomes a lucid dream, and you can turn that into an out-of-body experience. I have a whole video here in the channel, how to turn a lucid dream into an astral projection, conscious astral projection, and I give you steps, specific steps for you to follow. Take a look at this video, there are brilliant tips there. But then, if you, from the lucid dream, manage to get to the conscious astral projection, which means you are increasing the level of lucidity, then you will have no doubt. But sometimes we increase our level of lucidity, but even the maximum possible in that session, in that specific astral travel, is not our maximum. We just could only get, let's say, 75% of lucidity in that experience. And we tend to have in this moment some sort of observations that are too loose. We don't connect very well ideas. We don't associate with our everyday life. We don't pay attention very much to the details. We don't act using as much of our decision, will, rational thinking as we could in one given very conscious out-of-body experience. And this leaves room to this sort of question that you are asking. And I was laughing and saying, you couldn't ask something harder, could you? Because that is a very subjective reference. Subjective because you will put this reference. I can explain to you how to verify it, but you have to be the one there saying, wow, this is very, very, very concrete here. I know I am projected, and verify a few things. But sometimes, some of us, at the moment of recollection, when we re-enter the body, we do not bring all of the details. So we have that memory of an experience that we just had, but because there are gaps in the recollection, it may be difficult for us to know exactly if that is a projection or not. What I can tell you is, when it's super lucid, you will know. You can also try and think of some hooks, some specific acts that you would do when you are outside the body to try and test if you are really outside the body. So you just tell yourself, when I am in an experience, I will test if I am outside the body. So what you will do, because you may be just dreaming, so your body is sleeping, but you may be just dreaming or just imagining. So what you do is that you will try to create a conscious action with your astral body. One of the things that I like doing very much is jumping. So I would jump. And sometimes, if it is the out-of-body experience, after a while, you start sensing a type of gravity. There is some gravity, but completely different than here. And you have a sort of power, like a superpower there. Well, we have many there, but that you can travel, you can fly. So then you go and you can impose your flight. So little actions like this help us to act consciously at will during the experience, and that helps us to be sure we are not just imagining. But give yourself some slack for doubt. And I'd say just grab a piece of paper when you have a recollection, take note, and later on in your life, you will have more experiences. It will keep happening, and you will know if that first one that you took note was a real experience or not. So that's my tip. I hope it helps. That's a complex topic. Thank you, guys. I hope this helps, because I tried to give you some basis for each of you to be able to interpret your own experiences. It's wonderful when we can have an experience that we can confirm later. You see something that later on you knew it happened. That's wonderful, but not always we have this easily. Good. Thanks, Carol. Hi, Marie, or Marie. I do not know where you are. So, as a beginner for the VELO, how many times a day should I practice in order to get results? And how long would you say it takes before getting results? It's not long to get results. The problem, so I'm going to answer from end to beginning of your question. It's not long to get results. The problem is that sometimes we are expecting one specific type of result. So we keep checking and that still didn't happen. But getting results means something changed. And sometimes something starts changing and you start becoming aware of your energy, becoming aware even of energy blocks. So you may be expecting that you do VELO or VELO, and all of a sudden, wow, your energy is super loose and you have vibrational state. Whilst first, you are starting to get conscious of energy blockage that you had that you didn't notice before. So my advice to all of you is just observe what you experience with no preconceptions. Even if it's something subtle, even if it's something that not possible for you to say clearly the word, so it's infallible. There is this word in English, right? That you cannot have the words to say something. But even if it is this sort of idea, try and organize a little bit what that is. So that is first thing in terms of the results. But then we think about how many times. Usually when I know the person, I can advise based on the routine, based on what sort of situation the person is dealing with, but I'm going to give you like what is the average, okay? In the exercise, the practice, it's more important quality. So if you do it, say 5 times per day, I know it may seem a lot at the beginning, but you get used to that. And it helps so much that we feel balanced throughout the day and we can have so much more energy. But if you do it, let's say 5 times per day, you could, and sometimes I tell people, if you have a type of work that is a day job, that you do not have much time to spare, perhaps you do it twice while you are at your workplace, or 3 times. 6 minutes, 7 minutes, just go to the restroom and that's it. Stay there for a while. Nobody's going to say anything. And do your VELO with deep concentration, with deep decision, strong decision, because that is key for the energy to move more efficiently. And the efficiency in the movement of the energy is what is going to bring results sooner, and the results that we all want. So let's say you do it 2 or preferably 3 times during the day or during your work time. But then you have to do one at home before leaving to your work, and 1 or 2 after you come back. So the one in the morning is one of the most important ones. And I know for some people it's not so easy because they are kind of still sluggish, half asleep in the morning and cannot fully concentrate. But when we develop the capacity to really move our energy and we find a routine that we put this in there like a little ritual that you can do 15, 20 minutes at least, if possible more, in the morning, that is going to prepare your energy for the day. And we are going to spend the day more conscious, more balanced. We are going to be able to recognize some energy sensations and reactions that we always had, or maybe that it's just coming up because we are getting to know more of our own energy, but we are going to be able to appreciate that. So that is a minimum 5 times per day, but only because we are practicing, and we are right now, when we start doing the technique, we are readjusting our chakras, rebalancing our energies, redistributing. So it takes a while, usually, I don't know, a number of weeks, sometimes some months of practice. But once we are good with the technique, we control the energy, then you will do, well, some days 0, some days I do none, but some days I do 10. Why? Because energetically speaking, something is different. Because I will feel if my energy field is contaminated, or I will feel if some sort of energy is starting to put me down, make me feel not well about myself or my life or something. This type of contamination or this type of feeling that comes like for no reason, and then there is that morning that you have this more than others, this is usually due to changes in the energetic environment around of us. Environment, I mean our energy field, and the sort of spiritual presence, let me put it this way, or entities or beings that may be close by. So in those days you have to work more. Can this give you some reference? And the ones that you do in the evening, you try to do 10-15 minutes if you can, but if not, 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the evening. Some people find it very helpful to do it closer to the time they go to bed. They relax a lot, they fall asleep, it cleans their energies. Some people, it activates their brain, because it does activate the brain. There is an actual result there. So for some people, they just become more alert than they were before. So you adjust the timing. So this is my suggestion, like something that would be neutral. Everyone can start from that point. Does it work, Mahi? I hope you are being able to do the practice. In the beginning, sometimes we have to see how we fit that in our routine. But once we do, it's so pleasant that we want to do it. We even remind ourselves, oh, I want to do that, because we feel good. Great. Can I have another one, Karen? I think Carol is not here. I'm going to bring the next one in her list if I find it. Okay, so I had here Marie. Wonderful. So I'm bringing the next one. Okay, SJ. Hello. How to remain awake as the body goes to sleep during the hypnagogic state. You have to practice a lot. Two things. One, how you recognize your brain falling asleep. Because we have to leave the body, that's a very good question. Because to leave the body, we need to be at the brink of falling asleep. But establishing where is the threshold that if you go beyond, you just go and lose lucidity. But if you are too much prior to that threshold, you are not going to be able to relax enough and the brain is too active. I think you have to practice in just falling asleep. It's strange because if we practice falling asleep and we observe, okay, I see my dreams coming. Oh, I see my brain now starting to think slow. Have you ever had this experience? Or sometimes we can just start observing that we are starting to fall asleep and we bring us back. Like we get conscious and all of a sudden we come back. This is one of the problems that conscious projectors have when they are trying or when they are doing a technique to leave the body. So they start going and just the perception of the disconnection or the perception that they are getting at the threshold, boom, bring us back or bring them back. So number one, practice that and see that as a practice. Don't see that as, oh, this is something that I am doing wrong, otherwise I wouldn't be struggling with this. I promise you, SJ, most people, really the vast majority, struggle with this phase because to produce the disconnection at will in a way that we are conscious, we are sensing the separation from the body and we are enjoying the many different aspects that are present there, we have to master this moment. And that is what makes it challenging. Because to detach from the body or to leave the body is not difficult. It happens. It happens every night according to the observations and according to the theory that is now the most acceptable one. But if it happens naturally, why is it that we don't manage? Because of the difficulty of handling this. And the other tip I'm going to give to you, which is a very old technique, it's not something that I have created, it's very old. And this technique, some people think that is a technique to leave the body. It's not. It's a technique to train a person to recognize the hypnagogic state. I don't like the technique very much. For me, it didn't work, but many people love it. So what is the technique? You just put your arm like this, just like with your elbows on the bed, and your arm is standing. And then you just let your body sleep. What's going to happen? You go, and then when you are really falling asleep, your hand will move. And that's going to force you to wake up. So that's why it's not a good technique to leave the body. But by doing that, if the person is that type of good sleeper that they just go to a deep sleep very quickly, then this starts training them to be conscious. But as I said, we have to train to get to the threshold, be conscious, bring ourselves back a little bit more to a higher activity in our brain, and then play with going down. Some days you just sleep. That is normal. So doing this may seem like nothing, but that is a very important exercise for us to be able to manage, to control the astral projection, to leave the body consciously. Very good question. So I loved it. Very good. I'm going to bring the next one. So I have Marcus. Hi, Marcus. Thank you for being with us. And the question is, can certain medications or other substances inhibit a person's ability to succeed in OBEs and astral traveling? Yes. Several. I'm not going to cite which ones. It varies a lot. Some people say that antidepressant sometimes can do this for them, but it's not something that is, how would I say, forcibly like that. It's just because it puts our brain in a condition that it's in a different mode of operation, slightly different. And for the reason of the question that I just answered, in terms of controlling the hypnagogic state, that's what makes it more difficult. So we will see that some substances may just make us fall asleep much faster, or sudden. It's not faster, it's sudden, so you stay for some time awake and then sleep very fast. But others kind of produce a light type of sleep, like we fall asleep, but it seems we are always conscious of the moment. That is not ideal either, because what I spoke just before, we have to establish the threshold for us to detach from the body and the type of hypnagogic state we will have. So then that's not very helpful in this case. So I'd say that is what needs to be mastered there. Does it help in terms of the medications? But that's a good thing. I'm going to do a talk, or better say, I'm going to do a video about some research that I did with DMT, because I know some people talk about it. But I'm going to do a whole video because I did some research about this like 25 years ago. I did for myself, not using the substance, but investigating and talking to those people that were from the Amazon, those that were producing the substance, and that nowadays is used in some ayahuasca rituals and ceremonies. So I wanted to see what were the energetic and non-physical components of that. And by using that substance for so long, what type of effect that produced on them, because I was considering not using it. But maybe if I would get there and say, wow, this is a great tool. So maybe, but there was some interesting reflections that I started doing after I visited those guys. But I'm going to share this with you in a video, complete video. Thank you for bringing the question. And then I'm going, just putting down here. The traveler. Is there a specific way to reach out to guides or masters in the astral? Yes. There are not a specific way, but there are certain types of inner posture more than anything else that contribute, and some that are not very helpful. What is not helpful? If we keep looking for them and calling them out. I will explain why that's not helpful. Because when we do that, it produces some sort of anticipation. And that anticipation many times produces one of the two things. Either we end up creating or imagining something that happened there when it was not really there. So mixing a little bit of our expectations and what we had in our mind with what we saw, and then we see someone and we think it could be a spiritual mentor. That's one thing. The other thing, sometimes some non-physical beings like spirits, they may take advantage of that and pretend they are good people. And because you are so much interested in looking for the good ones there who are going to give you some important information, then you become more open to them. So it's quite tricky, because if we look for it, it gets harder for us to really find it. So the attitude that you have to have is more one of, I want to be closer to what they are, in terms of how I think, in terms how I see life. You cannot change your evolutionary level. You cannot change your level of lucidity. You can, but throughout experience, not bam, like this. Okay, Like I leave the body and now I'm going to be a very evolved being. No, I left the body. I am as evolved as I am. I can be more lucid because I can, that's my level. Or maybe some days I'm less lucid and then it's harder for me to connect with the guys. But one thing is, try to be as lucid as possible. Try to see what are their standards of actions, their standards of principles. They never establish rules in a way that others have to follow. So they are not there to tell us what to do, but to guide us, to understand things from a bigger perspective, and to support us in our development. So of course, many times we are outside the body and we may have tips. We may find somebody who is there for us. It's not uncommon, but it happens instead of we try to produce it. And the right attitude, instead of keep looking for it and calling them out, the right attitude is to be open inside. If a mentor can get close enough to me that I can sense them or see them or communicate with them, because see, any of these things can happen. So if it happens, I will be very balanced and try to use well that moment. Create a connection in which I see what is in their energy, what information I have to learn from that. I do not know if I managed to transmit this. Because if somebody is like, oh, okay, I know it's not you, okay, but just explaining. I'm going to see my mentor. Yes, I want to know my life mission. But it's all superficial or all asking questions. Oh, please solve this problem for me. They cannot solve certain problems for us because we have to learn. We have to undo certain things that we did. We have to go through some process. Loving us is supporting us to go through, not helping us to avoid going through the process. So sometimes we have the wrong expectations and we keep just asking, oh, please help me. So that is the type of thing that doesn't encourage them to get very close, because if they do, most people just start creating in their minds, what would that mean? Oh, they told me to do X. They told me that I should proceed in a way that is Z. But they don't tell us what to do. They give us pieces of information or pieces of glimpse of lucidity of things that we already knew but we're not connecting. And then we may see things more clear. We may. But they don't tell us, now your next step is done. So I do not know if you get what I mean, but this is very important. So how we connect, what we expect. And it's not difficult, okay? I think it's very important for me to say this. It's not difficult. And many times it happens spontaneously. Because if we are interested in evolving, then that's what they do, helping us to evolve. Let me put it this way to make it very simple, maybe oversimplified, but so that's what connects us. Is that okay? I hope I could help. And then I'm going to bring here Eretiel. How are you doing? Glad you are here with us. So 2 parts question. Okay. I've been traveling around lately and ended up staying in a small hotel for the last week or so. I feel absolutely awful here. So you are still at the hotel, is that it? Only feel better while doing VELO. But, okay, let me get the second part. But haven't really been able to get anything else done. So you have to be doing VELO basically almost the whole time, right? Is that what you mean? Is there anything else I can do other than packing up and leaving early? There are always other things, but sometimes they are not worth it. I now explain why not worth it. Because it's all a matter of an account. So how much effort and trouble you will have to go through and to solve what? If it were your house, yes, let's sort that out. bam, there are things we can do. If it's in a hotel, maybe the situation is bigger than you can solve in one night. You see what I mean? Or one emission of energy. I do not know what you are sensing, what's going on, if you are having nightmares, if you feel drained, or if there are invasive thoughts. Usually that's what happens the most. We just start thinking things that are negative. It's not our pattern. So how can we stop that? I would do VELO, which is what you are doing. Sometimes we have to do a lot. Yeah, terrible. And sometimes we just stop doing the thing, boom, come again. The fact that you describe like this your experience, it means that there is a lot of energetic pressure. Meaning, whatever is the information that is in the environment there, it is so tangible, it is so close here to the physical reality that it produces pressure. So we want to take that out of our minds and it come back. You want to just have a good night of sleep, and then you have again a nightmare similar to the one you have had in the night before. So when there is this energetic pressure, sometimes there are old things. It's not just a matter of cleansing your room, or it's not just a matter of cleansing one object there. So you have to ponder what is doable or not. But one thing that you can try and do before you pack up and leave is to try and emit energy to the room. But you have to be prepared, not to be prepared because something bad can happen, no, but to be prepared to make sure you go from beginning to end. Because if you just start and then stop, it doesn't help. And it may even it may even make those energies that are not so comfortable more clear to you than they are right now. Because when we emit energy, yes, we are sending something out. But think, it's as if you were touching those structures. So it is very important that you do it until you feel, okay, I did what was possible. I'm not sensing anything, I don't see any change. I felt energies were flowing, now it's already reduced. I feel lighter now, or I felt a very bad presence or pressure while I was emitting energies, but I managed to do it throughout until it changed a bit. Sometimes you have to do a VELO before and a VELO afterwards. That's okay. Then that's what you can do and see if that improves. Sometimes it can be something that's only in the room. But if it's something in the whole hotel, which I have seen places like this, then it's really, really hard. Maybe you go to another hotel if you can. I was once in Cyprus, which is there at the border with Turkey, and I was in the Greek side. And I went to a hotel that was downtown there, and there had been a war. That was not long ago. The buffer zone, like the United Nations, sorry. The United Nations soldiers were still there guarding the border. And by staying in that hotel, I couldn't sleep for 1 minute. And in the morning, I had no doubt I'm out of here. 6 in the morning, I just wait for the light to come, the sky. Sun was up, and there I was with my bags. I need to leave. And then I told to the guy, there are too many cats, and they meow during the night. I cannot sleep here. Oh, I'm sorry. So I went to any other place but that one. So sometimes that is conditioned. But in other places, I worked with energy in the room, and that was okay. But from what you are saying, I'd say that it's probably bigger than just the room, just one thing in the room. That's my tip. I hope it helps, Rachel. Sometimes it's a challenge, but you know, these things, they give us experience that we can later on compare with other places we have been. And then we have an astral projection, and we can evaluate how positive that was, how difficult, or what sort of energetic information was there, because we have a reference. We have had different experience that gives us this reference. And making a parenthesis here, talking about how to emit energies and cleanse the place and see where the problem is. I am going to give in English a course now in the second semester, and I'm hoping that I can start it in the beginning of September, mid-September, which is when I'm going to have a window. And it is about creating a multidimensional, which means multi-layered field, force field, multidimensional force field. So it's cleansing the environment, and of course we are going to do that in our houses. Nobody's going to do that in a hotel, because that is with no specific information. Too many people enter there. But in your room, in your house, all of you, as is my condition, we can and should establish an energy field that is so strong that works as a force field in many different levels of frequency of the non-physical dimension. Therefore, only those beings, energy, entities that are in a way with affinity to us, with some sort of consistency in terms of their principles and ours, would get closer to us. So that helps a lot. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to place a link. Not now, but tomorrow I'm going to create the link and place here. If you just come back here, you will see the link for you to pre-register so that I can inform any of you who are interested. It is a course that I follow your progress, because there are many strategies, so then I need to follow your progress. So that's it. So that's why I only give it like once or twice per year. Great, guys. If you are any of you there, you are interested and you would like also to make sure you receive information, you go to nancytrivelato.com and subscribe to my newsletter, because then I will inform those of you who are subscribed about the opportunity of the course. Okay. And then I have Isabella. Isabella is asking, I've experienced some situations when I was about to sleep where I felt myself slipping out of my body, but it always ends up into a dream. How can I know if it's real or prevent it? You know what's happening there? What happens is that after the process of the separation from the body, you lose part of the lucidity that you had. This is not uncommon, and it's interesting that you experience it as a dream, because most people, what happens after this point that you described is that they just black out. Boom! They see nothing else, because they kind of fall asleep after they slide out of the body. Do you understand what I mean? So the lucidity is no longer there. So if you manage to get to the point that you are saying here, what you should do is establish a task to yourself. So next time when I feel I am floating or sliding out, or perhaps sinking in, anything like this, I am going to consider that I want to be standing outside the body. Why am I saying this? Just because you will use your will. So instead of just sliding out and letting your lucidity and your control of the astral body to come automatically, you will exert some action to make it come sooner. So you say, okay, so now I'm going to be like in the upright position. You can be floating upright position. You are floating up there, so you don't have to be here close to the body. But most of the time, when we are conscious outside the body, we are in the position as if we were standing. When we are in the position lying down, even if our body is here, the physical one, and the non-physical body is just separating, but still in the position like lying down, it's interesting because it's a bit more difficult for us to regain lucidity. Probably because of a conditioning. We are conditioned that when we are standing, we are in a conscious state, and therefore we automatically bring more attention and more awareness to us in that moment. So try this and see how it goes. Okay, so quite interesting, the point that you brought. And then I have Tiago. Hi Tiago. He says, sometimes during the performance of VELO, ballooning happens and I lose control of the energy. This is normal. This happens. This is normal, but this is not ideal. And I'm going to explain why it happens and what I suggest that you do. Okay? You guys give me just a moment for a sip of water here, please. Now, Tiago, what happens is that when we start practicing VELO and it starts activating our chakras, because of the activation of the chakras, they kind of expand. What is important is not how much they expand, because the important part is the part of the chakra that is aligned with our bodies, because we want to go to the root. But we activate the chakras and we start becoming more conscious of the chakras, and we start by getting more conscious of them in the surface of our skin. This activity and this loosening of the energy happened because we were moving energies inside of our bodies in the VELO method. Therefore, what we want in this case is to maintain the VELO method. But because we are more sensitive to the energies that are moving in different ways, which is what VELO is going to do, it's going to impulse our energy, we may inadvertently just put attention more in the flow, in the sensations around. And then VELO becomes weaker. We still move the energies, but we move much lesser quantity, with less efficiency, with less depth. If you read my book, you will understand what I mean by quantity and depth, but with less depth. Therefore, it doesn't reach the core of your energy body, the root of the chakras. And we start sensing more the effects of the energy. So the ballooning that you are describing, but many people, they have different type of experience. For example, they will feel their frontal chakra like pulsing. Just for an example, could be any chakra. Sometimes they feel as if there are waves around, or the energies just naturally start feeling like they are going out. No. We are controlling the energies to move inside of our bodies. But the sensation of the effect of the energy movement, and because we are sensing the effects more in the surface of our body, it distracts us from the actual movement of VELO. So what I would say is, you are not going to avoid sensing it, because you are there to see what's going on. So you are feeling the sensations in the surface of the body. That's it. You just let it be. You do not have to say, I'm not going to pay attention to it. No, please don't give so much importance to it. Then you will know it's there, but that's not going to distract you. And you continue focusing on the movement inside your body, because then you go to different steps of the results of VELO. VELO, usually at the beginning, we are doing more like a therapeutic VELO, readjusting, reorganizing. But later on, we go to different stages, but it's the same exercise. But the type of benefit that we get, the percentage, gets lesser of a therapeutic process because it's no longer needed. And we have the opportunity to have more like a preventative, like prevention, because it helps us to be stronger, to prevent some situations that would happen around of us in the spiritual level or the energetic level. So these little details, they are quite important. And then we go to other levels of performing VELO. It's not by performing better. It's by being able to reach more results, because a step that usually goes before is already complete or almost complete, so it allows us to experience the following levels, if you understand what I mean. So at that moment you think, okay, it's here, it's okay, but my attention, my focus, and what I want to sense and what I am controlling is the movement in a cyclic oscillation up and down inside of my body. And that's what I'm doing. And little by little you get used to sensing the different reactions or effects, energetic effects of VELO without getting so distracted. Okay? I do not know if you have read my book. I explain that a lot. And especially in the course, that is the VELO 101 course, I go into details into all of this. How long you practice, what sort of sensations, what if you feel the energies are going out of your body, what if you feel waves that are not flowing together with the movement of your energies, what does that mean? So there are many tips, but in essence, in a nutshell, that is the thing. Okay? Hope it helped. Oh, I have Trevor, which I think I jumped too much here. Give me a moment, guys. I'm going to Trevor, and then I will go back to those of you who had 2 questions, but I tried to give opportunity for everyone, and then I go back for the second questions that you guys had. I memorized them. So Trevor is saying, is a surge of inflowing, pulsing electric-like energy through arms and to heart an OBE sign? Oh, I see what you mean. So you are relaxed, right, Trevor? And then you feel that type of electrical shock that goes from heart and arms, sometimes enter through the arms, and sometimes it goes out through the heart, and sometimes it redistributes. It may be, but not necessarily. I'm going to give you different possibilities of what that can be, and then you see for yourself which one you think is more probable in your case. It can be a sign of OBE because the energy starts redistributing, and then we feel this electrical shock here and there, and then in the legs, and then in the spine, and then sometimes it flows throughout the whole body. All of that is just a preparation for the out-of-body experience, because we are starting to disconnect, and that disconnection starts producing some sensations. So good, that is one thing. But sometimes you may have that because your chakra, let's say your cardio chakra, in the area of the chest, just started activating, and then there was like a release, a burst of energy, and then it produces that sensation. So it may help the out-of-body experience immediately afterwards, but it's not a sign of out-of-body experience. Rather, it is a sign that there is a super activation in your chakras. And by the way, the chakra that is here in the area of the heart and chest is connected to the chakras in our hands. So we have both palm chakras connected to the heart chakra. It's not a direct connection. Of course, energies flow from one chakra to another all over our bodies. But in this case, it's almost like there is a preferential flow there. So much that with some individuals, when we work with energies in a one-on-one session, we may need to work with the energies of their heart chakras, and we sometimes go through the hand to be able to reach more easily because they may have blockages that stop the energy from flowing there. So I'm just telling you information so that you can see. And there is a third thing. There can be others, of course, but these are the most common ones. The third thing that could be there is like a spiritual mentor that would be close by, and they work with the energies with you to help you release from the body, or to help you to improve the quality of your energy in some way, for whatever reason, or preparing you for something important you are going to do in the following day. And with their proximity and with the application of energies, it's almost like they are giving you like a healing session, just in a way of explaining, very silly, superficial one, but something like this. So for some reason they are transferring energy to you, and that may produce this sort of reaction in our chakras. So now you see which one you think was your case. Is that okay? Interesting question. And then we have Jelena. Hi, Jelena. Have you met incubus or succubus? How to get rid of them? I have met, perhaps once or twice in my life, yes. I know many people who have this experience more frequently. And yes, it's possible to stop them. Not necessarily easy, because the more that we have of this sort of approach from them, the harder it may get for us to get rid of them. Simply because it's almost like when you have a friend, but the more you go into that friendship and the more you know each other and the more you have you have a business together and then you go to places together, the harder it is to stop the energetic connection. We can say, I'm no longer going to see you, but the energetic connection is there. And the way to stop it, I think there are two basic mechanisms. I cannot say this is the way, because what you have, or one would have to examine in a case like this, is when did it start? Was this because of something that was generated in my energy? Was it some sort of relationship I had that left some energetic residue in my field that started making it more, created this predisposition for this incubus or succubus to get closer? Or is this because of some sort of energy field in the place where I live or used to live, and that ended up affecting me and created this connection with this type of entities there? So what we have to understand is these are entities that have a strategy to connect with us that is more based on the Kundalini energy, on the sexual energies, which are super normal, supernatural, but they use it in a way that is to hook us. And that can feel very unpleasant. For any of you who have had this sensation, you will know what I mean. If you do not know what incubus or succubus is, it's just like the female or male appearance of an entity that gets very close to us in terms of their astral bodies, to a point that we feel their presence in a very tangible way, almost as if we were having a sexual interaction with them, in different degrees, but more or less that's the thing. And this happens because it's the way the energy is distributed. But the frequency is what is important. So number one thing I would do there, having explained this, is VELO, so that you reduce their, how would I say, easy to get connection with you or the person who would be in this condition. So it reduces their capacity to connect so easily. And the second thing is to try and cleanse the energy of the bedroom, or establishing different fields of energy there so that this happens less. And sometimes only this is enough. Only, 3 weeks of VELO, a month of VELO sorted this out. But sometimes it's 1 year of work. I have followed many people dealing with this for 20 years, 30 years sometimes. And it's totally possible to get out of this, knowing the steps, but it's something intuitive to us. So just let's work with energies and stop them from getting close. We have to remember that that is an energetic process, not physical. And many times we try to react in a psychological manner and in a physical manner. Great, it has to be psychological. It has to be with action, not physical. But we have to also use energy. And remember that with our decision, with our will to act, energy will flow. And that is what brings greatest results. Okay? Wonderful. I'm now going to get SJ again. Thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate it. I have experienced being awake while my body was asleep. I felt being tumbled as if I was inside a washing machine before something beautiful happened. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, SJ. Very interesting. And sometimes we leave the body in ways that it's like tumbling, spinning, sliding, and it's a lot of sensations. And we are just getting out. But that's how it works, and that's how we learn. Thank you. So I'm going to get Ande, and then I will go back to the previous questions. And Andy has here a question about, my mouse, okay. About VELO as well. 6 months after VELO 101, I managed to achieve a proper session. Yes. I realized speeding up the energy bulk helped me. The energy bulk, so you mean the big quantity of energy. But it takes me an hour to get there. Any tip on getting there quicker? If you try to move a greater quantity rather than quicker, because when we move the energies, like trying to do it faster, we may sense it more easily. Now I confused you even more, right, Andy? But I'm going to go there and bring this to a good conclusion. Because when we move the energies faster, usually the energies that are more loose, if you read my book or even in the course there, you saw that I explained about free energy. So they are more loose, they are easier to move, so they are easier to feel. So when we try and move in a greater pace, we do move more of these energies. We may sense more, but the type of result may be, I'm not saying necessarily it is, but it may be more superficial for the very same reasons. Now, when you move the energies, thinking more of the quantity, and I'm sure that's what you are doing, because I explained that in the course, but I just want to reinforce and make sure it's understood. If you concentrate more in the quantity and in the stability of the rhythm, so it's bum, bum, but I do not know how fast is fast for you, right? So it depends. But I gave some reference of speed there in the course. But if it's still in a rhythm that you can control, you know you are being able to push your energies through all over your body, and you follow the energies going up and going down all over. If you are being able to do it, then that is great. How can you do it to make it happen sooner? Moving greater quantity. But sometimes it does take time. One suggestion that I have is for you to try and observe if while you are doing your VELO, what type of thoughts you have. So are you concentrated? Do you get distracted? What is the greatest obstacle that you experience while doing VELO? And then you come and we talk here again. Because when you know the greatest obstacle, we can start seeing some patterns there and see what would be the best method to resolve it. Because sometimes it takes so long because there is some sort of struggle. How can I explain this? Let me try and bring a reference to this. Some sort of struggle with the blockages, but also with the energy pressure around. Because we are in an environment, you are in an environment that has a certain specific type of information that has been there for long. There may be even some spiritual presences that used to connect with you, with your energy in a certain way. Now you are gaining more control. Now you are being able to act more with your energies. And then when you are doing this, all of those tentacles, all of those different nets that would still be there in your energy body, and the connections, they are there creating some difficulties for the energy to move. So it may be the case sometimes of us thinking, hey, yes, I am moving the energy here for 30 minutes, and it seems it was an effort throughout, so I'm not getting anywhere. Not true. Because if we are putting an effort for 30 minutes, we are getting somewhere. Absolutely yes. Because sometimes what we are trying to achieve, or what we have to do to achieve what we want to achieve, what we have to do in terms of our energy workout, it will involve facing some obstacles, energetic obstacles, or spiritual obstacles, meaning spiritual presences of different types, which may be related to us or may even be related to someone we know or to the place where we live currently. So keep an eye on that and see if any of this is present there. And when we do VELO, my last tip, when you do VELO, it's you alone controlling your energy. It's not you, it's someone helping, and then my energies are flowing by itself and gets so easy, and then I feel everything's happening. No, VELO means push up. And you do not develop the muscles and the push up by, just finding a way that somebody is going to lift you to help you. That's not help. That's hindering your progress. So pay attention to these small details there, because we have to see if there are obstacles or if you are moving the energy too fast and maybe not being able to move a greater quantity, or if it's a natural process, you just need more time. So that is what I would suggest that you do. Okay? And I am going to go back to a question that I skipped, which was this one here, and then I'm going to go to your second question. Okay? Which is Mahi again. Sorry I made you wait for a while, Mahi. I wanted to let the others ask as well. As a beginner, I answered that. So I know you have another one, which I saw here. I hope I find it now. Here. About the VELO again. It seems strange to me, but the more I practice, the harder it seems to be. And sometimes I can't even do the VELO at all. Is that normal? Not normal, but it can happen. But something here, it can happen when it is the case that there is some sort of spiritual presence or some sort of spiritual being that is used to connect with you a lot. Sometimes you are not or were not even aware of that. Or sometimes they do not want you to achieve that level of control. Or sometimes we start reaching some energy blockage that before we were not even aware it was there. And then it seems that there is a phase that we have to pay more attention, that we have to want even more. It's not that you cannot do, but you have to put more effort. It's the same for me. Because there are days that I have to put a lot of effort to move my energy. Why? Because the energy around are different. Because I may be receiving some sort of influence, somebody trying to disturb, somebody, spiritual, but sometimes even physical, sending energies, consciously or not, that start to create some influence. So I am also struggling with those energies that are interfering, not only dealing with my own energy. So you have to take this into consideration. So it is normal that there are days or phases that it's harder than others. So you can be like, it had been so easy, but now it's been 2 weeks that, I have to really push. Normal, okay. But then if you tell me, I used to do well in the first 2 months, but then for 6 months I cannot have not even one session in which I feel like before, then we have to examine what's going on, if you are doing something wrong, if something else is happening. But otherwise, this is absolutely natural and healthy. Healthy because when you have sessions that few of them are harder than others, it shows that there is something happening, there is something changing. And sometimes there are energy blockages that we were not even aware they were there. And when you start reaching those areas with your energy, those areas inside of your energy body, areas that were blocked, then you observe that there is something there that makes the energy harder to go through. Yes, because before we were not even conscious of the energy in that area. This is absolutely normal. So you just check how long it lasts and make sure you do not create any sort of thinking that, so now it's going to be like this. So I'm doing something wrong. You perform, I assume you have seen the course, right? If you did, you just perform the technique as I teach there and it will be good. Okay? Great. I think I have a question. Yes, so Carol is reminding me, I have another live in 10 minutes. Let's see if I find a question that would be simpler. And then I can answer, or maybe I stop instead of answering just superficially. And by the way, I think I covered all of them. There was some comments from Tiago that I didn't have time to read, but I think they were more comments than questions. Something in the house. He was telling about a process in the house. I am just going to let you guys read, but I am not going to be able to answer this in this specific session, but we can talk about this again. This is related to many things that I have been researching in the last 3-4 years, and that's why I created this course that I mentioned to you, the multidimensional force field, because it brings loads of original information. By the way, if any of you are interested, I'm going to place a link in the description. Not today, I have to create the link, I will place it tomorrow. But otherwise, you just go to nancytrevelato.com, subscribe to the newsletter so you'll be informed. I have a limited number of people there, and I would like to have there only those who think, I want to learn, and I want to be able to change. Now, the challenge, you live with me. I am going to devise techniques, and I have loads of techniques to present to you. But if somebody's there to find an easy solution, like somebody's helping you to do the push-ups, so that is not the course for you. And I am bringing here the comments from Tiago, which I had. Yeah, so sometimes, right? But I'm going to address this in a different video. Is that okay, Tiago? Because I need time to answer. But I just felt like it was a comment that I would put here so others can read, even if they are not live with us later on. And Anita is saying that she has a similar situation in the house. So would you guys bring that in our next Q&A, please? And then we can address this. There are many different angles. By the way, I recorded a very short video with this information today. So it's going to come out something, but the whole process, it's large. So the course that I created, it's like 15-20 hours. It's a lot, but it is worth it. Okay, so thank you for being here with me up to now. If the video was useful, please remember to give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're not subscribed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session we have, live session. Goodbye, big hug to you. Ciao, ciao.